dear students. Welcome to Study Buddy, and we are all set for our geography class. I am Miss Margi, and I am so happy and very delighted to have you here today. I am sure you might be wondering what is there for today's class. But in fact, today's topic is going to be of great interest to you children. In fact, it is one of the most, you can say, dynamic chapters of all, because we are going to learn all about latitudes and longitudes. And I'm sure these latitudes and longitudes, right from your childhood, you might be wondering, मुझे कब सीखने को मिलेगा ये सारा? तो चलो आज हम सीख लेते हैं. Are you all ready? Let's start. Let's begin. So, yes. What are we going to learn today? We are going to learn all about the grid, the globe, the latitudes, the longitudes, and how many they are, which are the hemispheres, how is the calculation, why is the earth tilted, everything, to all your different questions which might have come at some point of time in your mind. We have all answers in this chapter today. Let's begin. So here we go. Yeah? All my dear geographers, you need to understand that in a geography class, you yourself are geographers and think like geographers, right? So, now here, this is a beautiful model, isn't it? I do know that this is Earth and this is something which is attached to the Earth. So, will this be called Earth? No, it is a model of the Earth, and therefore, we geographers will give it a name. And what would be the name? Oh yes, it is the globe, correct? Smart, great, everybody knows about it, right? But still, it takes immense, courage to immediately write it in the chat box, so very good. Alright, so now what is the globe? Globe, basically, why was it invented? Yes, to make our lives easy, to make our study easy, to make us learn at depth every part or smaller parts into deeper, closer or macrocosm state and microcosm state. So you from large to small, smallest to smaller, we can understand the earth, and that is how we started first with a model. And that time when the model was made, it was a huge discovery. Although as time passed, as years passed, we understood that there are benefits, or you can say advantages, which came because of making this model of the earth called globe, but there are certain disadvantages also. So first of all, let us talk about what are the advantages. Now suppose when I am talking about the time when the globe was made, I did not know where I am staying. I am putting my feet on a circle, was not understood by humans. Humans never knew at that time that the earth is a spherical ball, okay? So it was like a shock for them. And then astronomers of those times, they said it is not just a spherical in shape, but it is also rotating and it is also revolving. So how to make this clearer to those who have not actually seen the earth or its movement as an astronomer or maybe as someone from space? So to technically bring it to their brains, these geographers crafted this beautiful globe, and which made us very much comfortable to understand how the earth spins on its own axis and how it is in shape and size, and then the geographers made it more easy to understand details about the earth. Now, what could be the drawback? The major drawback is you cannot have very detailed accuracy on a globe. First of all, because of its size. Then secondly, if it is too small, you can't have all the details. If it is very big and you go into detailing, you can't carry it. So there were various other issues which were coming due to globe. The model was not very handy at times, and at times it was very good because we could understand. So there were, if you want to go in detail, something more was required. All these kind of things are there. But if you look at the first origin, or we trace into history, when this globe was made, it was like almost opening a Pandora's box of information for those who did not know anything about geography, right? So, now how does this spinning of the earth happen? Let us understand a little more from the axis. So now here again you are having a nice globe and you are seeing that there is a plumb line which is put, a needle is there and a thread is hanging. So this is the perpendicular line, it is showing you the straight line. But you can see that the globe is not straight, having a straight line where it is written north and where it is written south. So this makes us understand that this globe is inclined. So there has to be some reason for this model to be made like this, isn't it? What could be the possible reason? Yeah, you are correct. Your guesses are correct because you all have learned about it, that the earth moves on its tilted axis or inclined axis. This angle is around 66.25 degree, 66.14 or 25 degree, and this 66.5 degree, sorry. And this inclination, what happens with that? The earth spins on its own inclined axis, making variation in seasons and day and night, isn't it? And that is why this inclination is of immense importance to us. So now when you look at the North Pole, the South Pole, you can see there is a horizontal line. This line is dividing the earth into two spheres, which we will be learning in the next slide. I hope you are clear about the axis, that the earth moves on its own axis. This spinning can be also told, like when you were children, you were playing that top and you used to throw it with the thread and it used to spin. Same way, the earth keeps spinning on its own axis and it revolves around the sun on a orbital plane, okay, which we will be learning in detail. You have already learned in your previous chapter, that solar system, right? All right. So now let's go to the next slide. Hemispheres. So when we are talking about hemispheres, what are hemispheres? Basically to understand the earth in a much better way, to understand its timeline, date and day, because earth is not a small piece of ball which you are seeing over here that you can draw it. Earth is to use, isn't it? Your own country is to use. You can't put it on a piece of paper or on a model. So imagine how many kilometers, thousands of kilometers, what would be the circumference and how can you fit it on any single sheet of paper? It's not possible. So we make it into a scale, bring it down, zero it down to a certain measurement and then gradually study. But before all the detail and the study starts, we need to also broadly divide it. So what do geographers did? Geographers divided it into hemispheres. Now there is northern hemisphere and there is southern hemisphere. Alright, when we talk about latitudes, the latitudes divide the earth into two equal halves. The northern part up to the North Pole will be called as northern hemisphere. So when I look at this map, this to this is the northern hemisphere, whereas from this to this is the southern hemisphere. So then what is this? Yes, it is the equator. The 0 degree latitude is known as the equator. Okay, now why equator? Yes, because it's the largest circle. Now why am I calling it largest? Because the earth is a spherical ball and at the center it has the grandest bulge. If I ask you one simple question, the circle, we all know that latitudes are full circles. Secondly, they are equidistant. Third, they are parallels. And these parallels, they are vary in size. So why vary? Because the circles, rings, they are varying. Why? Let's understand it in the next part. So I hope you are clear with the two hemispheres, northern and southern. The equator divides them. Alright. So now let's go to the next slide. Now this is the equator and the equator is, as I told you, dividing the entire earth into two halves known as the southern and the northern hemisphere. Now when I look at this, I can tell you that all latitudes are not having same length. See this length and measure this length and measure this length. So are they same? No. Are they same? No. So I can say this, that northern pole has the smallest circle and the largest circle, northern pole and the southern pole will have the smallest circle in size. whereas the equator will have the largest circle. Reason being the bulge is like that and earth is a sphere, and these are parallels and full circles. Alright, so 90-degree latitude will be called as the polar region or poles, okay? Because from equator we have divided the earth into 90 latitudes, 90 in the north, 90 in the south. Total how many latitudes are there? 180. How many are there? 180. So 90 to the northern hemisphere and 90 to the southern hemisphere, correct? So let's move to the next. Important latitudes. Now this is very, very important for us also to understand, remember and by heart. We need to practice this diagram. You can always revisit this entire slides again or this teaching class, or just if you want the study material, everything is uploaded on our app. Let's get back to this topic. Now when I see the equator, it is at the center dividing the earth into two halves. But when I see the degrees, you can see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. Now this distance everywhere between the latitudes will remain equal. Northern pole is 90 degree, 0 degree is equator, southern pole is southern hemisphere 90 degree. And here somewhere between 20 and 30 degree, this red line is at 23.5 degree. Okay, and this is S is mentioned over here. Can you see this N mentioned over here? What is the difference when I read this? Just read this digit and just read this digit. Here you are having the alphabet N, whereas here you are having the alphabet S. Why? Yes, correct. So very true. It is northern hemisphere red line and this is southern hemisphere. How did you come to know? Because it is below the equator. So we have mentioned N over here in capital and S over here in capital. Clear everyone? This is how we will denote and identify whether a particular latitude is above the equator or below the equator. Alright? Now, this is the Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degree north. When I look at 66.5 degree northern hemisphere, I can find Arctic Circle. So here at 66.5 degree northern latitude, I have Arctic Circle, and at 90 degree northern latitude, I have the northern pole. Let's go to the southern hemisphere. Below the equator is known as southern hemisphere, and when I look at 23.5 degree Tropic of southern hemisphere, I can say that the Tropic of Capricorn is in the southern hemisphere at 23.5 degree southern hemisphere, southern latitude. And when I say Antarctica circle, Antarctic circle is basically at 66.5 degree southern hemisphere. Alright, so these we will be labeling them. The worksheet and the diagram you will draw them. Worksheet with the diagram is also uploaded, and there is a box where you have to draw also. You will first label, learn all the latitudes, later you will draw the entire globe on your own, and you will also label all the hemispheres and important latitudes. Right? So next, let's see. Oh, these are heat zones, and these are again related to the position of the latitudes. Now what are heat zones? First of all, क्योंकि earth is a spherical ball, the sun's rays which are facing the earth will not be equidistant. Somewhere the earth rays will fall directly and straight, whereas at certain places it will go slanting, and at certain places it will go very slanting. So as we all know and we have studied that the rays of the sun also will cover only one part of the earth, but the other part is away from the sun, causing day and night. We have learned it in our grade 3 and 4. We know that rotation is responsible for day and night, isn't it? But we also know that due to the large size of the earth, the sun's rays loses its intensity on those areas which are very far to reach, or the distance covered by the sunlight. It increases too much to reach to that part of earth. That is why it will lose its intensity, making that place receive lesser heat, and therefore you will find those regions away from more rays or more heat, and these regions are the northern pole and the southern pole. Then even the Tropic of Capricorn, the Arctic Circle and the Antarctic Circle, they will also comparatively receive lesser rays at times, and at times there will be equal good rays of the sun, so heat will be there. But majority time the heat quantity will not be as high in intensity as it will be in other parts of the lower regions or lower latitudes. Therefore, it is named or it is told as Arctic Circle can be having temperate zones. It is not very high, not very cold. But when you go towards the Tropic of Cancer, which is 23.5 degree latitude, you will find that there is lot of heat over there, and therefore this zone is known as the torrid zone, and they are the heat zones or very high intensity of the rays of the sun hit on this part, and therefore these regions are very hot. Okay, equator straight rays fall throughout the year, and so it is very hot, and it is labeled as equatorial zone or equator climate is little bit more typical, hot and wet kind of climate is there. And when we go to the southern part or southern hemisphere, again 23.5 degree southern latitude will have more heat. It is called torrid zone. When 66.5 degree southern latitude, we are talking about the Antarctic Circle. It will also have temperate climate, and it is known as the temperate zone. And the southern pole or the south pole, which is at 90 degree, it will have very cold climatic conditions, and it is known as frigid zone. So let's very quickly see which zone is known as what. Again I repeat over here, and please look over here. This will be termed as the frigid zone, 90 to 66.5 degree. From here to here, temperate zone. From here to equator, it is torrid zone. Okay, so same way from equator to Tropic of Capricorn, it is torrid zone. From Tropic of Capricorn to the Antarctic Circle, it is temperate zone, and then comes the frigid zone. So this way, what happens? We are able to identify and distinguish the world on climatic conditions. On the basis of climatic conditions, we can largely divide the earth, which helps us to understand the climate conditions of a given place, just if we know the latitude. All right, interesting, isn't it? तो ये कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है लैटिट्यूड को जानना, क्योंकि हमें उस जगह का एटमॉस्फेयर, क्लाइमेट, वेजिटेशन सबके बारे में पता लगता है. सिर्फ वेजिटेशन से हमें ये भी पता लगता है विच एनिमल्स विल बी लिविंग, क्लाइमेट से भी पता लगता है कौन से एनिमल्स रह रहे होंगे, एंड इट गिव्स अस द एंटायर डिस्क्रिप्शन ऑफ द एंटायर बायोस्फीयर of that area or the biome of that area or that habitat which is going to dwell over there in that particular latitude. Very interesting. The deeper we know about geography, the more informative our minds become, because these are the bases. Once you know the bases, you can easily map anything in this world and can understand just from its longitude and latitude how or what would be there in that particular place. All right. So now, we are done with latitudes. Great. So quickly let's begin. What are longitudes? Right. So first of all, let's see the diagram. So when I look at this diagram, is it different or same like latitudes? It's different. These are half circles and they run from north to south. They are half circles. Okay. First thing you need to remember is longitudes are half circles. They move from north to south. They are not equidistant. See, it is narrow over here, it is broad over here, it gets broader over here. It will be very broad at the equator, it will be very narrow at the polar regions, isn't it? And there is one 0 degree longitude which is known as the Greenwich meridian, or it is also called as the prime meridian, which divides the entire globe into eastern and western hemisphere. So now here one longitude cannot divide the earth. Two longitudes will divide the earth into, इधर से ये मेरा हिस्सा, उधर से ये तेरा हिस्सा, ऐसे करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ये आगे का हिस्सा और पीछे का हिस्सा सर्कल है ना. So you have to take two longitudes. Okay, so here it is 0 degree longitude, here it is 180 degree longitude. This 180 degree longitude is known as the IDL. It is known as the IDL, International Date Line. And this 0 degree meridian is known as the prime meridian. So together on this hemisphere, which is the, you can say, western hemisphere, and here is the eastern hemisphere, this way if we look at, we will find that there are 180 longitudes over here and 180 over here. Now, let's quickly understand once again, because it is too much to understand at one go. Let us look again at this diagram, and we can see that this is 0 degree prime meridian. Here this is arrow is showing you direction, and this direction is the western direction, or you can say western hemisphere, and this is the eastern hemisphere. सबसे पहले हमें इतना ही समझना है कि 0 डिग्री का एक मेरिडियन है जिसको हम प्राइम मेरिडियन कहेंगे. इस तरफ लेफ्ट की तरफ वहां से जाते हैं तो हमें वेस्टर्न जोन मिलता है, और इधर से हमें ईस्टर्न हेमिस्फीयर मिलता है. ऑलराइट, नाउ इंडिया लाइज इन द ईस्टर्न हेमिस्फीयर. ओके, now what are longitudes? Again you can see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. पर 90 से आगे 100 और 110 दिख रहा है. क्यों? क्योंकि there are totally 180 on one side and 180 on the other side, which makes 360 longitudes. So how many longitudes do we have? 360. Correct? So this is the prime meridian, which is the 0 degree longitude. Just this red line, if we is on this side also, it will become 180 degree, and that 180 degree will be called as the IDL. आप सब watermelon खाते हैं? Yes. Longitudes are like watermelons. Okay. You have those lines on the watermelon, right? Light green lines or dark green lines. Same way longitudes have been divided. Okay. Or you can peel the orange peel, and you will see how each, you can say each piece is, removed to eat. So those are what kind? Are they full circles or half circles? When they are together, you feel that there is a spherical orange. But when each half is taken out, it is a half circle, isn't it? So longitudes are like that only, like an orange inside. It is having different pieces. Similarly, these pieces, if are opened up, they will all be half circles but not full circles. Okay, fine. So now let's move on to our next slide. Now grid. What is basically grid? It is a network of latitudes and longitudes. That is known as grid. When crisscross lines which are passing on the maps or on the globes, which are imaginary lines, which are drawn by geographers. Why are they drawn? To make the study of the globe easy. Such network is known as grid. Like you have the graph paper, similarly a graph is drawn on the earth, which is known as grid. Okay, and it helps us to understand a time and distance of a particular place representing a particular grid. Okay, so interesting. लॉन्जिट्यूड्स और लैटिट्यूड्स बातों बातों में हमने सीख भी लिया, और हमें इतना तो समझ में आ गया कि आज तो हमने बहुत मजेदार चीजें पढ़ी है. और आज मुझे लगता है कि आप लोग वेट कर रहे हैं कब आपको ड्राइंग करें, कब लैटिट्यूड्स और लॉन्जिट्यूड्स के बारे में अपने पापा मम्मी नेबर्स सबको बताएं. सो प्लीज फाइंड, शेयर इट, शेयर योर नॉलेज. Repetition helps, and auditory repetition will help you to learn the concept in 1 or 2 minutes. Just go and tell everyone what you learned today on Study Buddy. Share it with your friends. Ask them also to visit. उनको भी पता लग जाएगा सारा कुछ एकदम इजी है ना. तो अगर आपको अच्छा लगा है ये सेशन, So I am very much thankful, and from Margi ma'am, I would also make a small request. If you like this session, please comment, like and share. We are available for any query or for any kind of follow-up. We are available on our telephone number, which is 9512242424. I will be coming back again. You can email me also. My email ID is also there. And you know that we are already there on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. If you feel, you can like, share, and make us more popular. Right? Thank you. I sign off. Bye-bye.